Hi. Beth.
Huh,
We're recording. It's great to see you.
ew.
It's been a while, actually.
I know it has.
I need to do a Mother Runners Knoxville contingent coffee
That would
sometime.
be
It's on my to-do list. Um, Thanks for doing this. I know you're in the middle of a work day and I have a sick son with me. So thank you for moving the call and for making the time to connect. And I'm happy to see your face and catch up. Um, and yeah,
all.
did you know that you're my first athlete? Did you know that?
What was I?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I don't think I realized.
Like my first official athlete under Mother Runners.
That's awesome.
And you're such an anomaly because my favorite things about you are you love the last 10K of a marathon and you love running in like high heat, not warm, but
Yeah,
like heat.
like if it's over 80, I'm fine with that. Let's go.
So I want to learn a little bit more about you and how you discovered running at the age of 36.
Yes.
And
So
then
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
and then dive into Disney and the allure of Disney and the challenges and because man, I mean, what you're basically an ultra runner is what you are
We
in a way.
like to call it that in a sense, because I mean it's a lot of miles in consecutive days. It may not be all at the same time, but it's still miles on the legs, so it can be exhausting. To go back to your first question, so I've loved Disney since I was little, and I had found out originally about the princess races. And we can say hello to my dog. She's right here.
That's
Um,
okay. Mine's I don't know if you can see mine's over behind me too. So
yeah, so I learned about the princess races in the early, I'd say right after I got married, actually around 2012-ish, 13. And I was like, I want to do these. I had originally had wanted to do a half marathon in 2011, but I got told I wasn't allowed to, health wise. And I hadn't, and it was fine. That all worked out. But I saw this Disney race and I was like, I want to do this. And so I said, I'm going to make a plan that when I'm done having children, the year following, I will sign up for this race and I will train for it. Um, to maybe give myself, the push to get back into really getting active, post, losing baby weight and, just having that me time in my brain. I had lost that spark of the competitive edge, the need to fill goals, after I had stopped dancing because I had danced for, 22 plus years. So after my son was born in 2015, I gave myself basically 9-ish months to just enjoy him being a baby. And that's when I was like, okay, he was born in 2015. And in 2016, I registered for the Princess Marathon, half marathon weekend. And of course, I'm not one to, I didn't just register for the half marathon. I registered for the 5K, the 10K, and the half because I was like, if I'm going to go, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to do all of it. My best friend registered with me, and my aunt, she had registered to do the half marathon. And so, anyway, I started training truly training a year after my son was born. But I started walking. I just walked. That's all I did. Power walking throughout the neighborhood, and basically training to maintain under a 16-minute mile, which is what the kind of the requirement of Disney was. And so I did that, and I ran all three of my I walked all three of those races and had the best time. And that's kind of what sparked that need for more.
hmm.
3 months, about 3 months after that, I was kind of lost in what do I do now? And I had started kind of reading about some of the other Disney races, and I found this guy named Jeff Galloway.
Hmm.
You might former Olympian. And he kind of introduced this method called the run, walk, run. And it's a method where you run so long, you walk so long, you run so long. And it kind of helps maintaining your heart level a little bit better. It uses two sets of muscles in your legs so you can maintain like better, stronger. You feel better when you finish. You're not, so I started kind of reading into this and I was like, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can run. And so that next training, that next run I went out and I was like, I wonder if I can run to the next mailbox. And then I'd walk a mailbox, run to the next mailbox. And that was in 2017. And here we are. I can't tell you how many half marathons, full marathons, challenges that I have now done, all because of Disney and my need for feeling that competition and competitive edge, but yet fulfilling goals and being able to push yourself. I mean, I know I'm not fast and I'll never be the fastest, but it's a constant like personal goal to better myself in the world of running. Of course, I love running at Disney. I try to do at least 2 races a year. And I say races, race weekends, which the Dopey Challenge is my favorite, which is the 5K, 10K, half marathon and full marathon on consecutive days. So, by the time you get there, it's not the running aspect of it. It's exhausting. It's getting up at 2 a.m. 4 days in a row.
It is hardcore. Like it must be so much fun to sacrifice that much sleep.
It really, we try to bed by like 8, but it's so worth it. And, they just know how to put on a full-fledged have fun race. I mean, of course, there's the people that run. There was Brittany Charbonneau, not this past year, but the prior year won all 4 of the races. So she placed first in the Dopey Challenge on every single day. So she ran all 4 races in costume. It was so amazing.
You must have to use like a ton of lube, like a ton of Body Glide or something, especially when you're running that fast in costume.
Well, let's be honest. What you don't see is the base layers. The base layers are what we're used to running in, the running shorts, the tank tops, or the sports bras. The base layers is what we know and what we're most comfortable with that close to our body. Sometimes costumes can be a little scratchy and itchy, but we try to keep those on the lesser miles races and then of course the Body Glide. Yes. I think it's runners' best friends, between that, Vaseline itself, straight up Vaseline is another.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just go big or go home is kind of our motto.
So, okay, your journey has not been a simple one though. I mean, you've gone through a lot in the short time that we've known each other, which I guess we've been working together since I think 2020.
Yes, it was right. I did my first Dopey Challenge that summer, I believe.
That's right. Yes. So, and I mean, you've had health issues, you've had devastation, and I know that you've struggled through all this with motivation. What have you found has helped you? Because I know you love Disney and you have a passion for setting PRs and fun, as you said, but like,
Yep.
It's a lot, and it can feel daunting, but then it can also over time maybe kind of lose its luster. So how do you relight that fire if it ever goes out?
Switching things up, like not having the same schedule or trying to find a new way of challenging yourself. I also have a very good core group of friends that we keep each other accountable. And when somebody's having, not a great day, or I'm just lacking motivation, the biggest key is helping them just move, because that's all the motivation you need is just move. Okay. And that's what I've done before is I've just not felt like I wanted to run. And I'm like, just move, just get on the treadmill or just go walk. That's all you need to do. Just give yourself the grace to just walk. And 9 times out of 10, you get out there and that couple of minutes of walking, and it's like the spider webs shake off and you're like, let's do this. And it's like this internal clock that just flips. And I mean, there's times also where you have to push yourself in that motivating factor, to better yourself and to know that if you don't train, you're going to get hurt. And I think that's a big motivation for me, is listening to my body and training smart. so that I'm not hurt at the end, because I don't want to sacrifice these goals just and be stupid, if that makes sense.
Well, you're one of the best athletes I have. That's as far as it goes to staying in tune with your body. I've like never have to worry about you. Well, A, ever slacking off, or B, pushing yourself so that you go over the red line. Like you are so in tune with how you're feeling and what your body needs and when you need to see your chiro or your PT or get a massage or whatever. Do you have any tips for people who may struggle with that?
You have to, I think the biggest piece is you got to know your body, and you've got to have your team.
Yes.
You've got to know and trust those people that you work with. My chiropractor, he's probably the reason I can run, because, I thought I'd hurt my knee, and it was just a simple misalignment of my knee. And I'm like, oh, and he's like, you need to do more strength training. And I'm like, what's that? And then of course, having the massage therapy and having the PT, but also having the tools to do it at home. Don't just constantly rely on others. You need to have your own small toolkit, as I call it, in your back pocket, whether that be massage guns or rolling sticks or cups or, whatever it may be. Know your body. And sometimes you have to learn, is this just a twinge of the muscle needing to warm up, or is this a twinge of injury? And that's hard to learn. And I think I've learned a lot of that because of dancing. I learned a lot about feeling certain things and the way things felt to be able to determine, is this an injury, or is this just, the fascia in my foot being not happy because I haven't ran much, it's listening to your body. It's not ignoring the things and paying attention to how they're doing. So for example, I've been having issues with the posterior and exterior tibialis on my leg. It's an overuse injury. And I know this because once I get up into those high mileage, towards, peaks of the marathon training, it starts to bother me. But I also am prone to shin splints when my shoes wear out. So a couple of years ago, I started becoming religious about my shoes as far as tracking every run on them. And I do that religiously, so that if all of a sudden my shins really start hurting, I'm like, maybe I need to look at the shoes. And so first, that's like ruling things out immediately and kind of having that checklist. And that's, then it's probably the tibialis muscles that are kind of not happy with me. And I just think the biggest thing is trusting in your team.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And shoes, I have for me over the years, like if I start getting little niggles, like especially my knees, I look at my shoes, and almost every time it's like, oh, I'm due.
Yep.
So another question I want to ask you is, if you don't mind me asking, so you have, first of all, we live in like the asthma capital of the world, like literally Knoxville, where we live, like we're down in a valley, all the particulate matter, like it all just sits there and spins around, and you have terrible asthma, which is why I'm guessing maybe you were told you weren't able to run,
Yes.
or it might have been, okay, I'm could have been something else, but that's what I was guessing. And then in our time, and then in our time together, you've had some other health issues, like you've had crazy low ferritin, which most people with what you had would be in bed. But you're training for marathons, and I just love, in like, series of long races together, and not a lot of time sometimes between them.
Right.
What keeps you, because when many of us, myself included, would like hear stuff like that, like, oh, you have this huge health issue, you think, I got to shut down running, I need to focus on this, or what keeps you going? What keeps you from, I'm sure there have been doctors that have told you, you can't, especially with like your ferritin, you can't run right now, you need to get those stores up. What keeps you going, and knowing, again, it goes back to like trusting your body to know that it can do this and work on this?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. And I mean, there's times where I couldn't. And again, it goes back to giving myself grace to know that I don't have to try to push the pace on this easy 45-minute run. Move, get out there. If you need to flip your intervals and walk a little bit longer, keep moving. And to be completely open and honest about a lot of it, it is my mental health,
Mhm.
because running gives me that just moment of to breathe. And sometimes, we all have bad runs, we have great runs. But it really, that's what motivates me is I I want this, I run for the finish line. Um, when things get really hard, especially even in races during training, I imagine finishing that race and getting that medal around my neck. Like that is something that is huge for me. It's a huge motivator, mental motivator. So that's one thing that really pushes me through. And when I set goals, I have a hard time pushing those goals, being like, that's not good enough. I'm much more of a, well, we're going to set goal A. If goal A doesn't work, we're going to go to goal B. If goal B doesn't work, we're going to go to goal C. So I have stair stepping goals. And if, all of a sudden goal C is like fully obtainable, and I'm like, well, can goal B actually be reached? So I set up plans to where I do succeed. I set myself up to succeed in some manner. So I'm not disappointed. And whether, I've done races, and this, where I have felt terrible, but I just did it. And I took my time. I didn't push myself, but the feeling of accomplishment of finishing that race, is huge for me. That's just, some people, they say some people run for the t-shirts. No, I run for the medals. I love them. They're beautiful to me, and everyone has a story. And as I've said, race day is like, correlating it back to the years of dancing, race day is like a performance to me. It gives me very much that same feelings of being on stage and performing. I need running. There's no other way around.
That's a great quote. Same.
Yes, it's funny. And it's just people are like, you're crazy. And I'm like, I know, it's fine. It's feel like sometimes people can't relate unless they've been in the same type of role and situations. But yes, I do have horrendous allergies, and that took years to kind of level out. And feel like I'm finally getting on top of it.
Oh, good. I'm knocking on wood for you.
Yes. And mine was food. We found out that the food was of it that I had to eliminate, for the allergy shots and all that to actually really be working with all the external environmental stuff.
Oh, that's great. That's huge because that helps your gut too.
Yes. And
All
then
of
of
it.
course to maybe, with all the food issues, why I haven't had the iron absorption, which is why I've had recurring anemia and low iron deficiency. So fingers crossed that this is working. And of course, like I said, it goes back to your team. It's advocating for yourself. It's not taking, well, just because they said, but trusting your gut. Is that really, do we need a second opinion? I fight for I don't let others just tell me and dictate what I do. I fight for what I want. To show myself that I can, but it's to set an example for my children. That doesn't matter how old you are, what age you are, where you are in life, that you can fight for something and what you want. That, once we get up here in our 40s, that life's over. No, it's not. Every stage of life has its story. And I want my children to see that.
Oh, I love that. And I'm sure your daughter especially loves seeing the pictures of you in your costume. Like she's probably begging to come. I know she's not a runner. I know she's a dancer too, right? So
she is. She's ran a couple of 5Ks with me. And Disney has restrictions on age for like she could go do the 5K. It's a very family friendly 5K. But in order for her to do the half marathon, she has to be 14, for example.
Yeah. Which
get her. And I told her, I said, once you get a little bit older and you can show me that you're willing to put in the time to train, we'll talk about you getting to go too. So
that's awesome. That's so great. Yeah. My daughter has zero interest, but she's all about gymnastics, but I think my son might be the one. I need to go grab my well kiddo from school, but I'm so glad that we got to chat, and I got to ask you some questions that I've always kind of wanted to ask you and
Yes.
haven't over the years. So thank you for being open and for sharing, and I'm happy to hear you're recovering well. And I'm just assuming we're on tap for the Knoxville Full Marathon is the next big
Yeah.
one for you.
Yes. And my best friend actually messaged me yesterday and she said, she goes, "Do you want some company on the Knoxville Full?" And I said, "I would love some." So she's going to run with me.
Oh, I
Which,
love that. Oh, that reminds me, one last question.
yeah.
All of these wonderful friends that you've met, how have you met them?
So we all met through a Facebook group.
Okay.
It's called #Run Dopey, and it was formed in 2019 by two sisters as a small accountability group for the Dopey Challenge. We were all running in 2020. And so when we had that group, when we all ran in 2020, I think we had 700 people in the group. Now we have over 5,000.
Oh, wow. So you're one of the original.
I am one of the OGs. I'm also the moderators now in that group. But that's how I've met some of these
Wow.
girls through this group. And we travel and those are the same ones that I've ran New York with, that I did the Boston virtual. And we're just all over the US and enjoy. This is our time to come together as Girls Weekend and run because we all love it. And then of course my best
I
friend
love that.
we've known since
Amazing. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. You're killing so many. Wait, you can't say killing birds with stones. And why is that a saying? Anyways, you're accomplishing many, you're filling many cups with this. There, we'll go with that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. And I'm sure I'll be communicating with you over the weekend.
Of course, always.
Yes. All right. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.